How about it? Crypto Monday, San Juan. There we go. We got to get hyped, man, because if we don't get hyped about this, no one else will. And we're the proof that this thing works, right? So we got to show it off to the world, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Guys, help me welcome Peru real quick. Peru, before we get into it, I was going to start rambling stuff off, but tell us a little bit about yourself, Peru. What brings you to the island, Puerto Rico?
Before this, I was living on a red planet, the fourth one from the sun, far, far away. And I felt like the weather was a little bit better over here.
I agree.
So
the sights are much prettier, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the food is delicious.
Absolutely.
Okay. What's your favorite one?
Mofongo.
Okay, nice. He knows where the good stuff is, at least.
Absolutely.
You stay here in the local area?
I live in Ocean Park.
Ocean Park, nice. And how long you been on the island?
So I moved here at the end of April. However, I have been splitting my time between here and United Airlines.
You sound like my brother.
Yeah, inspired by him.
Okay. Good luck.
But I do plan to spend more significant time here.
You know, I was just having a conversation with him, and he's dying to spend 70% of the time on the island. He just hates being off the island.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I get it. You know, I don't like to be off. I go to the holidays to Florida, and I'm ready to come home in a week, easy.
Yeah, it makes sense. So actually, I was living in Moscow before this.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So hearts out to the Ukrainian people, given what's going on. But Moscow, as you guys may know, 6 months out of the year is frozen. And so I left there right before the war started and went back, got my things, and then came here. So I got to go from winter to summer, and the weather is incredible. The people are very kind and genuine, and it's just been wonderful being able to join this incredible community of builders who not only have a dream or vision, but have amounted, in many cases, a lot of success, as well as the ability to incorporate the next batch of folks who are entering in the space. So,
and that thank you for saying that. Like, you know, I believe that we do have a overwhelming amount of beautiful minds that are here on the island, especially here in the San Juan. In our crypto community, some of the best minds of the world that are here. And I don't know if you know it, but you know, you could go to Bayawes and stuff like that, and you could get your doctorate now in cryptology here on the island, and a lot of people are doing it. You know?
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know that. That's great.
Tell us, what exactly what brought you to crypto?
What brought me into crypto? So I have an uncle who, once upon a time, he asked me this question, which basically clicked for me and made me realize that I have to spend the rest of my life in this industry. And just to give you some context, this uncle, he retired about 5 years ago. He's done quite well. He was working at a water engineering company as a partner. But this uncle would never spend $100 on dinner, although he's got the disposable income, he can afford it. And I asked him, Uncle, why don't you treat yourself every once in a while? And he was the oldest of 13. He was born and grew up in a farming village in India. And the oldest of 13 for generations as farmers. He threw this Hail Mary. And this Hail Mary was to go to UC Berkeley. So how does a farmer kid in a small village in India afford to go to the most expensive country, the most expensive state, the most expensive city and college, which is UC Berkeley? And so 1,000 villagers lent him their life savings to help finance him to be able to go to college. And so as a result, which is a very awesome story, my uncle is extremely frugal. And when I asked him this question, Uncle, why won't you spend $100 on dinner? He said, why would I spend $100 on dinner when I could feed a whole village for $100?
Damn. I want to meet your uncle.
So
yeah, that deserves it for sure.
So this very frugal uncle also once upon a time asked me, Beta, which means son in Hindi, how do I buy this Bitcoin?
Nice.
And I knew at that moment, when this frugal uncle is taking his path and journey into this very volatile, highly risky financial revolution where these fiat currencies are evolving into cryptocurrencies at a very rapid pace, that we needed a safe, easy, smart way to be able to do this. And so our purpose is to democratize access to the information, and the information in the form of safe opportunities for people to be able to participate in this asset class.
And just so everyone is clear, when you say our purpose, who are you referring to?
Snowball.
Okay, awesome. Snowball is your company?
Snowball is my company.
Awesome. And what is Snowball?
Snowball is a smart, multi-chain, decentralized finance crypto wallet. And so, because I just won Buzzword Bingo, let me simplify that. We want to give people the ability to participate in crypto in the safe way. And we do that by allowing people to custody their own crypto, do all sorts of different activities that you would be able to do in your bank today, but do it in a way where you have control, anyone can participate. It's trustless. And so bad actors like FTX.
I was, I didn't want to go there, but I was just, how are you different from
I gave you the
bad
alley-oop,
actors?
right?
Thank
The
you.
alley-oop. Slam dunk.
What makes me want to trust you? You know what I mean? Or your company?
Well, that's the point, is you don't have to, right? You have to just trust yourself. And so we build technology that enables you to do all of these regular business banking type activities, but you can do it in a way where you don't have to trust a bank, you don't have to trust a regulator, you don't have to trust a company, you don't have to trust investors who are looking for an ROI and earnings to be higher every single quarter, which creates a lot of pressure to be able to do things that are not scalable.
Well, you got a bunch of tech wizards here at Crypto Mondays, so I'm sure you're going to get bombarded with all the tech questions in a minute. But if you're new into the crypto space and you want to try something like this, how do you go about doing it?
First and foremost, don't invest more than you're willing to lose. Second of all, there's a way that you can play fantasy before you even incorporate your own capital. Third of all, I would follow Warren Buffett's advice, which is basically to invest in an index or just invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum.
Awesome. And what's in the future for your company now with Snowball? What's in the future for it? Seeing all this craziness that we've been going through in the last few months in the crypto space, probably the worst time in the world for it, you know what I mean, to happen. But yet timing is here and it is. So what is Snowball's moving forward? How are you guys going to help the people?
Yeah, I think there's a few different ways. Number one is education. So allowing people to have the resources to be able to make smart decisions. Number two, I think what's happening right now within the crypto industry is inspiring a lot of people to learn and practice in decentralized finance. And so actually, let me just gauge the room to assess what people's expertise is. Raise your hand if you own Bitcoin. Okay. Raise your hand if you've lost money in Bitcoin. Okay. Raise your hand if you've ever yield farmed. Okay. Raise your hand if you've ever voted in governance. Okay. Raise your hand if you've ever donated on Gitcoin. All right, I knew I'd get you guys. Oh, one of them. Okay. Awesome. Two.
Yeah,
okay.
two. You got two.
Okay, so we've got a couple wizards in here who are savvy.
I told you. I bet you I could tell you who they were, too. I don't even have to look at them.
Yeah, so, what is the future of Snowball? There's a ton of wallets out there. Are we the best wallet? Perhaps, perhaps not. I think that the wallet problem is wallets are trying to innovate to become fatter by incorporating more and more services. But I think where the biggest opportunity is, and we're still trying to find product market fit on this thesis here, is actually incorporating the ability to easily transact from wallet to wallet, from blockchain to blockchain. And so today, if you have a wallet on the Ethereum network, you can have that same wallet address and have the ability to receive and send monies on other copycats of the Ethereum network, which is called EVM, Ethereum Virtual Machine. And if you wanted to send from a network which is separate from the EVM, say Solana and Ethereum, it's very difficult to do that. You have to take your monies, you have to put it through a bridge, you have to pay the fees, you have to have the native currency for both of the chains. And so we want to, what we're exploring to do is actually be on the auth side, where you can have one wallet, one address, you can send your monies to anyone in your contact by way of their phone number or by way of a simple domain, and you can do it across multiple blockchains in a very beautiful, easy user experience. I think we're bullish on this concept. But in the short term, I think what we're doing is trying to solve on the infrastructure side. So basically what Snowball is a front end, an amalgamation of multiple different services within the crypto DeFi space. And so we aggregate all of these services so someone who is new to the space could be able to participate in all these many interesting, unique value propositions within decentralized finance, whether that's to take a collateralized loan, whether that's to deposit your tokens and start earning interest, whether it's swap between hundreds of different token pairs, whether it's to participate in airdrops, whether it's to participate in some sort of contest, whether it's to connect to a bank account by way of a partner and move your money from bank fiat to crypto in 100 plus countries. We just try to simplify all of this.
Thank you. Damn. That sounds like a lot of work.
5 years.
5 years. Awesome.
Almost. Yeah,
almost.
Going on 5 years.
So we got what you're going to be doing in the future. Real quick, because you went back to feeding. My brain went back to feeding a village. You know what I mean? And I know that we have a lot of work here on the island. Are you guys helping out Snowball on the island? What are you guys, doing on the island to help? Or I know you just got here recently. Do you need any help? We got plenty of people that'll direct you. You know what I mean? Let us know if you need any of that help. But are your plans and I know you're making Puerto Rico your home. So what are your plans to help in Puerto Rico grow?
So actually, just today, we incorporated philanthropy on the Snowball wallet. And what philanthropy on our wallet does is, one, it allows you to donate your crypto to a cause that may be meaningful to you. We're going to market specifically with Ukraine DAO. And the thought process behind that is the people of Ukraine right now are under attack, specifically their electricity. And so there's been 2 days that the whole country was out of electricity.
Just like Puerto Rico.
Just like Puerto Rico.
I didn't want to make a joke, but it was like
during the hurricane season. So we're going to market with this, but we're going to be adding multiple different philanthropic initiatives. So not only can you donate your capital to this philanthropic cause, but what we're going to be doing is allowing you to share some of the yield that you're generating with this cause. Some of the fees from referrals you can redirect to this cause. And so we're exploring different models on how we can do this in a very sustainable way, not just as a one-time donation.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you want to discuss before we go to questions with them? Anything that Snowball has coming up? Anything that you have coming up here on the island that you want to discuss before we get into any questions?
Yeah, so about a year ago, a year and a half ago, I seeded this company. It's called Firestarter, and it's an incubator which invests, advises, and incubates metaverse projects. And so we were quite early to metaverse before Facebook rebranded to Meta. And we've taken several companies to market. We help them full stack, full gamut, from getting tier 1 centralized exchange listings. Actually, my team does DD, due diligence, for a couple of exchanges, so we can get basically any qualified project listed. Market making strategy, introductions to strategic folks. We invest usually $150,000 per project, and we help projects go to market and then scale. So if there is anyone who's building or any builders within your ecosystem, I would welcome them to DM me on Twitter.
And what's that Twitter?
At whoisparul, P-A-R-U-L, Paul with an R in the middle. So come find me there. And then also, Snowball actually has an ongoing airdrop. So if you download the app from the App Store, we're both on iOS and Android, there is an airdrop, and you can apply for the airdrop. There's a few different mission tasks: follow Twitter, join a Telegram, etc. And you'll be able to get airdropped when the airdrop ends, which is on my mother's birthday.
Hey,
who's right there
Mom
in the
is in the crowd
on December 8th.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Coming up.
I'm December 16th. We're good people.
Oh, cool.
Sagittarius. Awesome.
Amazing. Amazing.
All right, cool. So I know you're going to be, we just confirmed you're going to be speaking at Limitless also, Blockchain Week, right?
Yeah, hopefully I'll have something enticing to say.
Nice. and
Bring on the good questions, though.
Yeah, well, you're going to be up there with the elite of our community, so you'll be all right, right?
Yeah. There's no such thing as dumb questions, only dumb answers. So I'll take the responsibility.
You'll be up there with all the tech guys. We do have some questions out there, right? Justin, would you help me out, please? They kind of trapped me in here.
Yeah. 2 questions. What are your KYC AML procedures? Do you have any if you're involved with, fiat on and off ramps? Yeah.
It's a great question. So, oh, wow. That was a little close to the mic. So when I first started Snowball was centralized. And what that means basically is I was the middleman between my investors and our lawyers. To be centralized, there's a very difficult gray line to navigate, and that required us to become a broker-dealer. We actually were a registered investment advisor. We got several money transmitter licenses, so I'm very savvy of that process because it was exercised. Actually, ultimately, we decided to pivot from being centralized because we felt that the ethos of blockchain and crypto was DeFi, trustless, anyone should be able to participate. Now, with that said, we have partnered with payment service provider, multiple PSPs, payment service providers, who are required to have all of these licenses and go through this AML KYC. So for those of you who don't know what KYC AML is, KYC is know your customer, AML is anti-money laundering. So basically you don't want unethical, illegal money to be transacted on your platform. And so we're partnered with Gem and OnRamper, which incorporates several PSPs like MoonPay, Coinify, Wire, etc., that all have their unique KYC AML process. But I think the whole KYC AML service that's standard in the space, actually across just TradeFi, traditional finances, is very broken. You have to put your ID in, you have to give your address, social security, and then it only works 60% of the time. They have this database that's incomplete. Someone has to review it. It takes time, and so it's just quite inefficient. And it's actually been solved by a couple companies really well. Actually, Kakao Talk is a good example of this. So Kakao is a messaging app which 95% of Korea uses. And the reason why it works over there is for you to be able to buy a phone, you have to go through KYC AML. And so all the finance services, et cetera, after that don't require this strenuous, redundant KYC. But yeah, I guess that answers your question.
It kind of leads to another one. What are you going to do when the regulators come at you and say, "Hey, give me all your trading data for everybody that's ever traded on your platform"? Are you going to push back on that? Or you you know what I mean? That's a kind of a big thing. Is that something that you would go to jail for?
Yeah, it's actually a bit controversial right now that you're asking that, because MetaMask, which is the biggest wallet, is now requiring you to agree, and they've blocked out several different territories, including the United States, which is actually kind of ridiculous. But kind of our stance on this is DeFi has, I mean, there's multiple different types of blockchains, and we're transacting on public blockchains. So all transactions that are happening on public blockchains. So the data of our users, I can tell you we have 300,000 users. We're growing like 30,000 users per month. But you don't have to believe me. You can actually go on the blockchain and see who's transacting, what their transaction amounts are, how much liquidity they're depositing in, the different yield farms and the crypto index pools that we have, et cetera. So, our take on this is there's Hester Pierce. They call her the crypto mom. She's part of the SEC. And she's said that her stance is that she's pushing for progressive decentralization or progressive centralization. So if DeFi companies are required to follow this set of rules, they'll have probably 3 years of time. I think what's going to happen is innovation is going to be pushed outside the United States. So there will always be a market of people who want to be anonymous. For us, we don't collect customer data, just what your email is. And so you can create an anonymous email, and I guess there's IP tracking as well, but you can create an anonymous email and use a VPN, and you're truly anonymous. But ultimately, if you're not going through stringent steps to stay anonymous, they already have all the information. So,
you think?
Last question: what is your daily trading volume on, say, Bitcoin? Yeah.
So that's kind of hard to answer because volume is strongly contingent to markets. But we're doing around $1 million a day. But we're also a front end to 1inch, and we're on multiple blockchains as well. So that data is different for every single blockchain that we're on. We see big spikes, and we also see it come down a bit. So
awesome. Next question.
Just a few questions. So to clarify, are you operating an exchange as well as providing a wallet service, or maybe I'm asking a dumb question?
No, that's not a dumb question.
No dumb questions.
Just requires more clarification. Okay. Yes and no.
Sounds like a lawyer.
So actually part of Snowball, we have Snowball Labs where we're incubating what we call studio projects. So we have our own internal teams that are building projects. In some cases, we've anonymously launched projects. In other cases, we're publicly launching them. And so one of them that I'm most excited about, it's called SFT Swap. It's not public. And I just helped launch DogeChain, which is the blockchain for Dogecoin. And so we're building a few products on there as well, which includes a decentralized exchange. But in regards to Snowball, Snowball is basically a front end, which is aggregating multiple different service providers in the DeFi space. And 1inch, who we partner with exclusively, is a decentralized exchange aggregator. So they take multiple decentralized exchanges, including ours, and when you transact, they're going to route the transaction on the exchange that has the best price execution, the least amount of slippage. And so basically what we are is a front end, which allows you to use these services much more easily because we think that Web3 is very complex, having a MetaMask wallet, getting it set up, managing your private keys, finding the websites, not getting rug pulled, reading white papers, reading smart contract audits, et cetera, is quite meticulous and
not the average person going to do.
And not the average person is going to do it. And so we see ourselves as a stepping stone as people are entering this world of decentralized finance.
Okay, so I think you mentioned that you're trying to solve kind of chain interoperability. essentially the ability to send Bitcoin to someone's wallet and maybe they receive it in Ethereum. Did I hear that kind of correctly too? Kind of trying to solve that problem?
So, yes, kind of. That is a very complex problem.
Yes and no.
And there's 10 plus teams that are working on this for a number of years, very smart developers. We're working on, and this is frankly, it's in the thesis state at the moment, so we're just testing it. We think that almost like are you familiar with ENS?
No.
Okay. So ENS is Ethereum naming service. And basically, you can buy a domain on the internet, which is your own domain, right? So for me, it could be parulgadral.eth, right? And basically, I can take all my wallet addresses on Ethereum, and I can route them to whoever wants to send money to parulgadral.eth. All my sub-wallet addresses will automatically be routed to the correct wallet. And so when you're transacting with me, you're transacting with Parul, not 24 random numbers that are very, complicated to remember, store, etc. And so our thesis is if we can create the router, then ultimately for this space to be successful, it doesn't matter if you're sending Bitcoin to the Ethereum network or you're using Solana to Avalanche, etc. You're just requiring a service which is being rendered in the most efficient way possible regardless of the blockchain. And you don't even know which blockchain or what blockchain. It's less important of a detail.
So to clarify then, you're trying to create more of a parent level wallet address that you can send any type of crypto to, and then it ultimately gets deposited into the appropriate wallet of said crypto, as opposed to like automatically converting Bitcoin to Ethereum in that sense.
Yeah, I don't think having a fatter wallet is the right answer. I think having a more efficient wallet is the right answer. And so removing the complexity and allowing people to transact in a very simple way is what we're trying to do.
So to clarify, it's to kind of create like a parent level wallet address so that, when I'm sending something to that address, it doesn't matter what crypto it is. It'll ultimately, go to the appropriate underlying address, so to speak.
High level, yeah, basically, but actually it's more on the authentication side, and we can get into the details offline because it's quite complex, and frankly, it's in a thesis form. But
got it. Is it similar to FIO? Out of curiosity.
I'm not familiar with FIDO.
FIO.
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 Oh, FIO.
Fluke Stokes.
Ah, okay. I would love to learn about it though.
Gotcha. Just curious. That's all.
Awesome. Any more questions?
Also, feel free to ask me questions on NFTs as well. We've innovated a ton in that space and are continuing to innovate in that space.
Awesome. There you go.
Yeah, so earlier I heard you mention that it's a trustless system. So could you expand on why it's trustless? Like, do you guys you give out private keys to every single user that makes an account? How is it different than FTX?
So we're not completely trustless, just like Ethereum isn't completely decentralized. So if you think of, and that's, by the way, when I was asking the question on people's crypto experience, that was the crypto wizard who had raised his hand for all the things.
Of course.
So I have to be careful how I answer this question because I know he's going to take notes and give me a hard time later.
Not at all.
We got a few of those.
I'm going to be diplomatic here. So how is Ethereum not fully decentralized? Well, most of Ethereum is proof of stake. And validation happens by people who are taking their Ethereum tokens and staking it. And the vast majority of people who are staking their tokens are doing that on a centralized exchange. And hence, these centralized bodies have the ability to vote behalf of their people that are staking. And hence, it's not so completely decentralized. So We like to think about this as progressive decentralization. He smiled, so I think that was an acceptable answer.
Definitely.
So for people to manage their private keys is a very complex thing. Right. Where do I save my private keys? Do I put it in my Apple Notes? Well, that's saved on the cloud. If someone hacks into that, if someone hacks into Apple, it's compromised. Do I save it in my Dropbox? Same problem. Do I write it down somewhere? Well, you know, maybe it's spring cleaning time and the wife or the mom or, you know, or the husband, whatever,
hurt my feelings.
You know, burns it down. Maybe there's a fire, right? Maybe you're in California and there's an earthquake. Maybe you're in Puerto Rico and there's a hurricane, right? You never know. So how do you solve for this? It's very complex. So we think that this is going to be iterative. For Snowball, the private keys are actually backed up into your iCloud, which then does create inherent risk. So it's not fully decentralized, but it's progressively and mostly decentralized. And the reason why we opted to do that is we thought that it would be more important to give people a beautiful user experience than for them to lose their keys or have it hacked and not have an easy and scalable way to. But that's something we're working on solving. And so if you have ideas, I'd love to brainstorm with you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great response. I mean, it's just one of the big issues right now in the crypto space is we're on this precipice, right, of people who, the old school Bitcoiners, they all, not your keys, not your wallet, right? So you guys have private keys. It's your own wallet, but it's hard.
Well, what happens when you die?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's hard. You got people that are throwing away entire ledgers into landfills and losing 10,000 BTC. So it's like, it's that happy medium. So the perfect answer. I love the fact that you guys are backing it up to iCloud.
So I have an investor. I won't say his name. He may or may not have been the former CTO of Ripple. And he had and this is in 2018, he had $70 million of Bitcoin on his ledger. And you have 3 attempts to put the right password in before it self-destructs.
What?
The right pin code, right?
The right pin code.
He didn't have his 24 words. Yeah, right.
He lost it. So he had 2 already attempts that had failed.
Oh man, that's nervous.
So he didn't have his 24 words.
So not your keys, not your wallet. Right, so I think it's really important to have an investment thesis. Most people make investment decisions emotionally. 99% of investors, probably more, do not have an investment thesis that they unemotionally follow. And if they had that, they would protect themselves. Now wealthy people, forget Web3, forget DeFi, forget Bitcoin, blockchain ethos. Wealthy people, how is their money managed? They have a professional who's managing a ton of their money, most of their capital. Right? Why? Because they don't have the resources, the time, the know-how, the cutting-edge technology. And typically it'll be diversified across various different avenues. I think it's very important to have a percentage of your capital offline where you're custodying it, but probably not all of it. And so I have another investor who unfortunately
you just
passed
confused
away.
the hell out of a new guy like me, like, because since I've come in here, I've heard that not your keys, not your wallet, you know
not
what I
your
mean?
crypto,
Not your not your keys, not your crypto, and it's like, well, shit, I lose shit all the time. I got to give it to my wife, and now you're telling me there's another way, or from what I'm hearing, there's another way where.
Well, what I'm saying is, I think that there's not going to be a perfect world for either side, right? So not your keys, not your crypto, for those of you who are unfamiliar with that, but I think most people probably are, is basically if you put your crypto on a centralized exchange or some centralized custodian, then they can do what they want with it, and there's chance that it'll be lost. So if you put your money in JP Morgan, what is the probability of your money being lost versus putting your money in the Bank of Cyprus? Right? Right? So there's a magnitude of risk difference, right? But if you are custodying your own crypto and living in Puerto Rico, well, then you have your own set of risks, right? And so having some balanced approach is what I recommend. I think that there's going to be a fit for a gamut of different ways to diversify. How are you mitigating your risk of the US dollar losing its global reserve title? Before the US dollar was the global reserve currency, what was the global reserve currency? The pound sterling. And what was it before the pound sterling?
Luke, come on. Portugal? Portugal? Right? Tell us, what is it?
That's, you guys are going to have to come to my next talk on
Limitless.
on Limitless.
Friday, December 9th.
So
It's either French or the Netherlands. Before that, it was the Spanish.
So the point that I'm trying to make here is that global reserve status has evolved multiple times, right, in history, in the last 100 years, in the last 200 years. And there's probability that happens again. There's something called, who here knows what BRICS is? Raise your hand if you know what BRICS is. Okay. So BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. It's the fastest developing nations in the world. And basically they've created this entity to collaborate so they can continue to benefit from the extreme growth. And now Saudi Arabia is trying to be part of BRICS. Now, I won't go deep into this lesson, but basically, the US dollar once upon a time was on, it was backed by gold. Right? And now if you look at the US dollar, it's sort of. Okay, I mean, we want to talk about nuances and complexities. I'm trying to keep it general here. We can do that offline. I would be happy to go deep and wide.
Y'all can do that at the bar.
$2 an ounce, but only non-U.S. citizens could redeem it. This is why Charles de Gaulle did it. I have my own theory as to why he did that when he did it, but yeah. Charles de Gaulle was redeeming it for $32 an ounce.
Okay.
So basically, right now, our US dollar is backed by oil transactions being settled in US dollar. And now that there's a threat from Saudi Arabia that they would settle in different currencies. And I've been so fortunate to be able to advise and work with the Prime Minister of Uganda and his sons and his cabinet. I was just recently in Uganda 2 months back, sitting down with the former Prime Minister, asking him of what his thoughts are with world events. And it was his thesis that the US dollar would no longer be the global reserve currency, that there would be two global reserve currencies, and countries would be able to choose which currency they want to transact in. Now, whether this is going to be true or not, time will tell. However, it's very important for us to mitigate this risk such that in the event that this happens, the US dollar could lose its value, just like the British pound has lost its dollar, just like the Turkish currency has lost 90% of its value, just like Venezuela. History repeats itself. And so how are you mitigating your risk? So when you say not your keys, not your crypto, there's various different ways that you can hedge to make sure that your assets are safe. Not your keys, not your crypto is one way to do that. Centralized bodies is another way to do that. Gold is another way to do that. Real estate, etc.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. One last question, guys, then we got to wrap it up.
I might ruin this question, but I'm from the UK. Hey, so it's the first thing I've done here. Anyone from the UK? Oh, I'm by myself then.
Sarah's not here.
Okay, so I get all that. So how do you make the money? So how do you get from millionaire to billionaire?
Pardon? How do we make money?
Yeah, how do we invest into you? How do we make the money from being based as a millionaire to a billionaire? How do we get that money?
I think
I'm
he's
not
asking, how do you
understanding the question.
monetize your service?
Oh,
Ah,
how do you make money? How did
Got it.
snowball?
we make money
How do it?
in a few different ways. We charge a transaction fee when you're swapping currencies. So if you're investing in an index, there's a transaction fee there, right? If you're swapping different currencies, there's an index there. If you're depositing to generate yield, there's not a fee there, but there might be sometime in the future. And in the back end, we're actually making money doing a lot of different unique activities. For example, we are advising companies, which we're giving exposure to our users. And so we're taking ownership in these companies, but we typically believe in these companies. We've invested in these companies. And so the success of of those companies, their relative tokens will come to our treasury. Pardon?
Can you give example of the company?
Well, actually, we don't dump them per se. We have market makers who will sell the tokens over a vast period of time. But what we focus on with these projects is market making strategy and how to create liquidity sinks. And so liquidity sinks, so let's just talk like a very high level generic economics lesson here, right? You've got supply and you've got demand. So what's happened to the US dollar in the last 2 years in terms of its overall supply? More supply. How much more supply?
You just get
Yeah.
us in here, reeling us in. Tell us the answer. Tell us what you're going.
So there's about 80% of the US dollar has been printed in the last 2.5 years from the history of the dollar.
Wow.
So imagine 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, the supply, and today there's plus 80%. What is that called? Inflation, right? And so what happens if they removed 80% of the dollars from supply?
Revolutions in South America.
Liquidity crisis, many things, but in basic general economic theory, the price of the value of the dollar would be a lot more. But when you inflate, the value of the dollar is less relative to assets, right? And so we help our projects create liquidity sinks to remove these tokens from the market so they don't have to be sold. And so one of the things that we're working on SFT Swap, we call it semi-fungible tokens. And basically the concept is, imagine I have a magic wand in my hand, right? Abracadabra. If I can take these fungible tokens and I can deposit them into this semi-fungible token, that removes it from the circulating supply. And so if demand is the same and you're removing tokens from the circulating supply, then the price goes up. If you're increasing demand, the price goes up, right? And so we help our projects create these liquidity sinks. Most projects have some sort of inflationary yield that they're offering, which we think mostly is a bad idea. Very bad idea, because it's very inflationary, it's a tax. And there's very creative ways that you can create utility for your token, such that it's actually being used, and create different value generation opportunities for the company, for the community, without creating major sell pressures. And so SFTs is one of our theses of how to do that. And so when you, one of the main reasons for SFT Swap as well is, who here has invested in a company before? Before it's gone public, whether in equity or whether it's what about pre-sale for tokens? Right. So what we're allowing investors to do, if it's a good deal, you have people who've invested in the deal, VCs, angels, etc., and people who wanted to invest in the deal but they didn't get allocation, right? And so what we allow our projects to do, and sometime in the near future, they'll be able to, the investors will be able to sell their SFT, which has all of the fungible tokens inside of them. And these fungible tokens are vesting over a period of time. So you don't have all of those tokens up front. You get those tokens, you can create whatever mechanics you want, but let's just imagine you get 10% of the tokens a month for 12 months.
It's almost like bond trading. It's like buying a bond that needs to inform people.
So basically, it's creating secondary markets, which creates maturity and removes the sell side pressure. It is a liquidity sink. It allows projects to create value by transactions of these SFTs. And it's innovating on staking as well.
Nice. Nice.
Which is probably another victory for me in Buzzword Bingo. How much of that did you get?
It's all right. We got it all recorded. Don't worry.
Okay, cool.
If you want to hear more from Peru, guys, you're gonna have to buy a ticket to Limitless, or at least for the next week or so. Buy a ticket to Limitless. Actually, tonight we're doing Cyber Monday, 50% off code. Speak to the lady in the front, my wife, Danae, if you want to purchase a ticket tonight, guys. Also, Blockchain Week has a ton of things going on here in the San Juan area, local, and throughout the island. I've heard of some other things going on also. So if you need the main roster, talk to me or my wife afterwards. We have a calendar list. If you're not on one of the chats, get on one of the chats. Crypto Monday San Juan will be in Chico Lounge next week for Blockchain Week. If you've been here from last year, you know we had an awesome event. Both events are ours, Limitless and Crypto Mondays, and we really just put it out the park last year. And we're hoping to do that again this year. So we need everyone to come out, though. We need everyone's support. You know what I mean? Is there anything else that we forgot to talk about?
Oh, I will say, if you haven't already, take out your phone, go to the App Store, download Snowball, and get your free airdrop.
There you go.
You don't have to, but if you want to, we have a gift waiting for you.
You and Luke Stokes need to have a conversation. He's good, boy.
And if there's any local charities that inspire you, I would love for you to DM me on Twitter and give me information about them so you could look them up.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that, guys. Also, before we close out, quickly, Crypto Mondays San Juan has become a nonprofit. We are accepting donations. Thank you for reminding me. After 5 years of just being here, and my a very little percentages of the community. Helping out, so to speak, financially. We just needed to do this to keep going, to keep helping, to keep, with the disaster reliefs, with the educational piece, with, just getting the word out there, building our community, getting some staff on, maybe paying my wife. Oh. But seriously, guys, we still
don't sell tokens to pay your wife because that dude will be pissed.
Nice. we still do work with other bigger non-for-profits, and we will continue to do so, and we will continue to work hand in hand with them. If you want, you can make a donation, guy from the UK. Donation right now. Let's go. Thank you guys for coming out, and thank you for helping us out tonight, brother.
Thanks for having me.